Hi, hello, good morning. If you like my videos, please subscribe and click on bell button. Today I am going to teach grade 10th NCERT Social Science under Economics chapter 2, that is about sectors of the Indian economy. In Economics chapter 1, I have explained about development under the first chapter, and in chapter 2 today I am going to explain about sectors of the Indian economy in continuation. Under this chapter we are going to learn the first topic is about the sectors of economic activities. The second topic is about comparing the three sectors. Third topic is about primary, secondary and tertiary sectors in India. And at last, divisions of sectors as organized and unorganized. These are the four different topics which you are going to learn in today's class. Let me explain the first topic under the economics chapter 2, that is about the sectors of the Indian economy, is about sectors of economic activities. Before going to learn sectors of economic activities, we should recall our previous knowledge about what is an activity, what are the different types of activities, and what is an economic activity, what is non-economic activity, and examples of these two economic and non-economic activities. An activity is nothing but any work is known as an an activity. Any kind of work is called as activity. Human beings are engaged in different activities from dawn to dusk. Even the animals are also engaged in the different activities from morning to night. These activities can be broadly divided into two major types. They are the economic activities and the non-economic activities. Let me explain about economic activities and non-economic activities. Economic activities are those activities which gives cash or kind in returns are called economic activities. In other terms, we can say that economic activities which gives money or material in returns are called as economic activities. Whereas in the non-economic activities, we cannot get any cash or kind. We cannot get any money or material in returns are called economic activities. Once again, let me explain the difference between economic and non-economic activities. Economic activities are those activities which gives money in returns. Non-economic activities are those activities which do not give money in returns. Examples under the economic activities: teachers, by teaching, they will get salary every month. Lawyers, they will get fees from their clients by arguing from the client side. Even the doctors also will get some salary or the fees from the patients. Like that, by doing any kind of work, if they get money or material in returns, then it will be called as an economic activity. And under the non-economic activities, by doing any kind of work, if they do not get any salary or any material in returns, then it will be called as non-economic activity. So non-economic activities are also called as the Entertainment activities. Examples: watching TV, reading newspaper, then playing in the playground are the best examples of the non-economic activities. Now, under the economic activities, classification of economic activities. Economic activities can be broadly divided into two types. One is producing of goods and second one is producing of services. Producing of goods is one of the major economic activity and producing of services is another important economic activity. Under the producing of goods economic activity, all kinds of producing of goods from the agriculture, from the industries are a part of the producing of goods under the economic activities in an economy. Under the producing of services, all kinds of transport services like roadways, railways, waterways, airways, then banking, insurance, post office, telegraph are a part of the producing of services. By producing of goods, by producing of services, human beings will get some amount either in cash or kind. So we can call these two kinds of activities are the economic activities. Now, under the economic activities, let me explain the sectors of economy. So before going to learn a detailed information about the sectors of economy, let me explain about what is an economy. An economy is nothing but the sum total of all the economic activities in the country is known as an economy, which means all kinds of economic activities from the agricultural sector, from the industrial sector, from the service sector together is called an economy. So economy can be broadly divided into three major sectors. The first sector of economy is primary sector. The second sector of an economy is the secondary sector. And the third sector of an economy is called the tertiary sector. Primary sector is also known as the agricultural sector. Secondary sector is also known as the industrial sector. Tertiary sector is also known as the service sector. Under the primary sector, all kinds of agriculture and its related activities are a part of the primary sector. Under the secondary sector, all kinds of manufacturing of goods are a part of the secondary sector. Under the tertiary sector, all kinds of service activities including roadways, railways, waterways, airways, banking, insurance, telegraph, post office, internet, radio, television are a part of the tertiary sector. Primary activities are basically depending on the natural resources such as land, soil, water, sunlight, rainfall, climate and many others. Here all the primary sector economic activities are depending on the natural resources. If natural resources are not available, then we cannot see any kind of primary activities in an economy. All the primary sector activities are obtaining or generating from the natural resources. When we produce a good by exploiting natural resources, it is an activity of the primary sector. All other products are made from the primary sector final products only, which means the other products from the industrial sector or the secondary sector are basically depending on the primary sector. Means primary sector products are used as a raw material in the secondary sector. That is why the secondary sector final goods are directly used by the consumers. So directly or indirectly both primary sector and secondary sector are depending on the natural resources. That is why these activities are called as primary activities. Since most of the natural products we get are from the agriculture, dairy, fishing, forestry, so this sector is also called agriculture and related sectors. Let me explain the few examples which are comes under the primary sector or agricultural sector. The first economic activity under the primary sector is growing of crops. Growing of all kinds of crops such as the food crops, commercial crops and the plantation crops are a part of the primary sector. And all kinds of animals, livestock is a part of the primary sector. Mining, coal mining, gold mining, iron ore mining and many other mineral resource mining is also a part of the primary sector. Quarrying, fishing, forestry, dairy farming are the other activities under the primary sector. Once again, we can recall the activities which are comes under the primary sector or agriculture. Agriculture is nothing but growing of crops and rearing of animals together is called agriculture. So we can include both crops and livestock is a part of agriculture and which is comes under the major activity under the primary sector. And the second is fishing, forestry, mineral, mining and all other activities are a part of the primary sector or the agricultural sector. Primary sector is farming activities and non-farming activities also a part of primary sector. Mining, all kinds of mining activities, gold mine, iron ore mines, coal mines and other mineral resource mining activities. Then quarrying is another important activity which is comes under the primary sector. And livestock or rearing of animals or grazing of animals is another important activity which is comes under the primary sector or agricultural sector. Fishing also a part of the primary sector. Then forestry is also a part of the primary sector. And at last dairy farming is also a part of the primary sector. So this is the detailed information about the first sector of our Indian economy, that is about the primary sector or the agricultural sector. I think everyone is understood very clearly about the primary sector or the agricultural sector of our Indian economy. Not only in Indian economy, in each and every country's economy, all agriculture and its related activities, whatever just now we learned, are comes under the primary sector activities only. Now we will learn about the secondary sector. Secondary sector is nothing but the manufacturing sector. That is why secondary sector is also known as the industrial sector. The secondary sector covers activities in which natural products are changed into other forms through ways of manufacturing that we associate with industrial activity. Under the secondary sector, all the natural resources are converted into the final products, which means secondary sector is receiving primary sector products as its raw materials and finally it is producing the consumer goods. Such kind of activities are found in the secondary sector. All kinds of manufacturing are a part of the secondary sector. It is the next step after primary. The products is not produced by nature but has to be made, and therefore some process of manufacturing is essential. Here whatever the products are producing in the secondary sector are not basically from the nature. These are getting from the primary sector, and primary sector final products are using as the raw materials in the secondary sector. Then whatever the goods are producing from the secondary sector which are used for the direct consumption in sometimes using as other raw material in the further production process. The few examples of secondary sector are Using cotton fiber from the plant, we spin yarn and weave cloth. Cotton is a agricultural crop which is used as a raw material in the cotton textile industries, and finally the cotton textile industries will produce the cotton cloth. And the second example is using sugarcane as a raw material, we make sugar. Sugarcane is a agricultural crop which is used as a raw material in the industries. Then industries will convert the sugarcane into the sugar. Sugar is a final product which is used by the human beings for their day-to-day life. Not only these, there are many other examples. Even we convert earth into bricks and use these bricks to make houses and the buildings. Since this sector gradually became associated with the different kinds of industries that came up, it is also called as industrial sector. Why the secondary sector is called industrial sector means industrial sector involved in the processing or manufacturing of raw materials into the final products. That is why the secondary sector is also known as the manufacturing sector or the industrial sector, because all these activities are happening in one particular place by using machines and the workers. Now let me explain the third sector of our economy, that is about the tertiary sector. Tertiary sector is also known as the service sector. The main activities which are falling under the tertiary sector are transport. Under the transport, all kinds of means of transport such as the roadways, railways, waterways, airways are a part of the tertiary sector. All kinds of banking activities are a part of the tertiary sector. All kinds of insurance activities like two-wheeler insurance, four-wheeler insurance, heavy vehicles insurance, even the medical insurance, life insurance also a part of the service sector or the tertiary sector. And also many other activities falling under the tertiary sector are post office, then telephone, telegraph, then internet, radio, television, newspaper, magazines are also a part of the tertiary sector. You see, the roadways is one of the best example falling under the tertiary sector. Railways are also falling under the secondary, that is service activities. Even the waterways, and at last that is airways. These four we can call it as the means of transport. These means of transport is one of the major activity falling under the tertiary sector. Now other activities we can see. Banking, both private banks and the government bank activities, and insurance from the private sector and the public sector, internet, then telephone, cell phone are a part of the service sector or the tertiary sector. After primary and secondary, there is a third category of activities that falls under the tertiary sector and is different from the above two. Why the tertiary sector is different from the primary and secondary sector means, in primary sector, by using the natural resources, farmers can grow the crops and we can produce the different products from the primary sector. And in the secondary sector, by using primary sector materials as raw materials and can produce the other goods in the secondary sector, which means primary sector and secondary sector both are producing the goods, but whereas in the tertiary sector there is no manufacturing of goods or the production of the goods. Here only the production of services. These are activities that help in the development of the primary and secondary sectors. These activities by themselves do not produce a good, but they are in aid or support for the production process. By the support of tertiary activities, the primary sector is producing the goods and the secondary sector also producing the goods. And whatever the goods are producing from the primary sector are transported to the secondary sector by the use of service sectors, and whatever the final goods are produced in the secondary sector are transported to the markets and to the consumer with the help of service activities only. For example, goods that are produced in the primary or secondary sector would need to be transported by trucks or trains and then sold in the markets. If the service activities are not there, then primary sector will not transport its final products to the industries, and industries will not transport its final products to the markets, and from the markets consumers will not get the products. That is why these service activities are essential for the development of primary sector and the secondary sector. Since these activities generate services rather than goods, the tertiary sector is also called the service sector. Service sector also includes some essential services that may not directly help in the production of goods. For example, we require teacher services, doctors, and those who provide personal services such as the lawyers, barbers, washermen, and many other services. All these are falling under the service activities or the tertiary activities. Here we can see the best example, the activities of a teacher, activities of a doctor, activities of a lawyer and an engineer all comes under the tertiary activities. Now the second topic, comparing three sectors. The various production activities in the primary, secondary and tertiary sectors produce a very large number of goods and services. Means from the primary sector and secondary sector we can see there is a large quantity of production, but from the service sector we can see the large quantity of services from the tertiary sector. The three sectors have a large number of people working in them to produce these goods and services. Large number of people are getting employment opportunities in the primary sector, secondary sector and in the service sector also. How much quantity of goods and services are produced and how many people work in each sector? Generally we can see in developed countries large quantity of people are engaged in the service sector and in the secondary sector, and very less number of people are working in the primary sector, like in USA, Australia, then Japan and in some other developed nations. Whereas in the developing and underdeveloped nations, large number of people are engaged in the primary sector and very less number of people are living in the secondary and in the tertiary sectors. In an economy, there could be one or more sectors which are dominant in terms of total production and employment, while other sectors are relatively small in size. How do we count the various goods and services and know the total production in each sector? How can we calculate that the value of final goods of primary sector and the value of final goods of secondary sector and the value of final services of the service sector? Economists have suggested that the value of goods and services should be used rather than adding up the actual members. For example, if 10,000 kgs of wheat is sold at rupees 8 per kg, the value of wheat will be 80,000 rupees. I think it is very clear. 1 kg of wheat is rupees 8, and a farmer is produced 10,000 kgs of wheat and he sold in the market at the rate of rupees 8 for each kg. Then finally he will get 10,000 into 8, then finally its value will be 80,000 rupees. Thus we can calculate the final value of wheat in the primary sector. And one more example, the value of 5,000 coconuts at rupees 10 per coconut will be 50,000, because 5,000 into 10 rupees is equal to 50,000. Similarly, the value of goods and services in the three sectors are calculated and then added up. This is the way of calculation of final products from the primary sector and final products from the secondary sector and final services from the service sector. But we have to remember here one thing. There is one precaution one has to take. Not every good or service that is produced and sold needs to be counted. We cannot count all the goods and all the times. It makes sense only to include the final goods and services. Means under the calculation of GDP, from the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector, we are going to calculate the value of only the final goods. We cannot add the value of intermediate goods in the GDP. For example, here we can take, if a farmer sell 1 kg of wheat to the owner of the flour mill at the rate of rupees 8, then what the owner of flour mill will do? He will convert this wheat into the wheat flour. Then he will sell this wheat flour to the owner of the biscuit company at the rupees 10, which means he is going to get 2 rupees profit. Then what the owner of the biscuit company will do? He will add sugar and oil and some other raw materials with the wheat flour, and he will produce 4 packets of biscuits. Then he will sell in the market each packet at the rupees 15. Thus finally he will get 60 rupees from all his 4 packets of biscuits. Here we can understand, we can take the value of only the biscuit packets because it is a final product. We no need to take the value of wheat at the rate of rupees 8 from farmer to the flour mill owner, and we cannot add the rupees 10 that is from the flour mill owner to the biscuit company, because here wheat is a raw intermediate good and wheat flour also a intermediate good. So thus we cannot add intermediate goods in the calculation of GDP. We can add only the final product value. This is the way of calculation. Wheat is a intermediate good, wheat flour also a intermediate good, and final product will be the biscuits. So we are going to add the value of biscuits only. We no need to add the value of wheat and the value of wheat flour. Why are only final goods and services counted? In contrast to final goods, goods such as wheat and the wheat flour in this example are intermediate goods. Intermediate goods are used to make final goods and services. The value of all final goods already includes the value of all the intermediate goods that are used in making the final goods. That is why we no need to add the intermediate goods in the calculation of the value of final goods, because already these values are added in the final stage. Now I will explain about the calculation of gross domestic product. Gross domestic product is also known as the national income. In simple form, we can say that GDP, gross domestic product. GDP or national income means the sum total value of all the final goods and services produced within the country in a year is known as the GDP or the national income. Here in GDP we are going to take the value of only the final goods from the primary sector and the value of final goods from the secondary sector and the total value of the final services from the service sector. These three sectors values of the final products are going to be added. These three together we can call it as the GDP or the national income. Here once again we can see the formula. GDP is equal to primary sector final goods value plus secondary sector final goods value plus tertiary sector final goods value. These three sectors final goods value will be called as the GDP or the national income. Now we can see calculation of GDP. One best example, that is, if the total value of final products of primary sector is 1 crore 50 lakhs and the total value of secondary sector final goods is 50 lakhs, and from the service sector if the total value of services in a year is 75 lakhs, then we can calculate the GDP, that is gross domestic product or the national income, value of final goods from the primary sector plus value of final goods from the secondary sector plus value of tertiary sector final goods, that is 1 crore 50 lakhs plus 50 lakhs plus 75 lakhs, then finally it will be 2 crore 75 lakhs will be the GDP or the national income. This is the way of calculation of GDP or national income. Here we can take the financial year which runs from the 1st April to 31st March. Means the goods which are produced in the primary sector from the 1st April to 31st March value, from the secondary sector which are produced from the 1st April to 31st March value, and the services which are produced from the service sector from the 1st April to 31st March value only going to be added. That is the final goods and services value. Now we can compare the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector in 1983 to 2002, in 2003 to 2006 and in 2007 to 2014. In 1983 to 2002, the share of primary sector is just 25% in the GDP, and the secondary sector share in GDP is that is also near about 25%, and the maximum share from the tertiary sector is in the GDP. And in the 2003 and 2006, the share of primary sector in GDP is decreased. Even the secondary sector also decreased, but tertiary sector is increased. In 2007 and 2014, the share of primary sector also decreased, secondary sector is constant, but tertiary sector is increased. Here we can understand the total value from the service sector is increasing in the GDP than the secondary sector and in the primary sectors, which indicates the development of the country. If we see the historical change in the sectors, at the time of independence in India, more than 80% of population is depending on the primary sector and the remaining are in the secondary and service sectors. but due to the developmental activities by the central government by implementing the 5 years plans, then there was a lot of development in the primary sector, secondary sector and tertiary sector. Thus the primary sector percentage is decreased from 80% to 55% at present, and the secondary sector and tertiary sector percentage is increasing in the GDP, which indicates the development of the economy. In the developed economies, already I have explained that very less number of people are engaged in the primary sector and the remaining are engaged in the secondary and the tertiary sectors. Example we can take in USA, only 2% of population is depending on the primary sector and the remaining are depending on the secondary and service sectors. But whereas in India still 50 to 60% of population is depending on the primary sector. If we reduce the population from the primary to the secondary and tertiary, then automatically it indicates the development of our economy. Primary, secondary and tertiary sectors in India. Graph 1 shows the production of goods and services in the three sectors. This is shown for 2 years, 1973 and 2003. You can see how the total production has grown over 30 years. If we see in 1973, the total value of final goods produced in the primary sector was only 10,000 crores and the secondary sector was that is 5 to 6 crores only. But in service sector it was also 10,000 crores. But in 2003, the total value of final goods produced in the primary sector was 50,000 crores and in the secondary sector was also 50,000 crores. Then it was double in the service sector, which means service sector final value is more than the secondary sector and the primary sector. Even the share of sectors in employment, means number of people are depending on the primary sector, secondary sector and in the service sectors, which we can see from this graph. Here in 1973, near about 75% of population is depending on the primary sector, 10% is in secondary sector, 15% is in the service sector. But in 2000 it was reduced from 75 to 60%, and in secondary sector its percentage is increased to the 15%. Even the service sector percentage also increased, which means the secondary sector and the tertiary sectors are increasing rapidly and which are providing large quantity of employment opportunities to the public. That is why people who are depending on the primary sector are changing their occupation from the agriculture to the secondary and service activities. Even the share of sectors in GDP in percentage. In 1950, the highest share in the GDP was from the primary sector and less was from the secondary sector. But in 2000, the less percentage is from the secondary and primary sector, and the highest percentage of GDP which is receiving from the service sector or the tertiary sector, which indicates the development of our economy. In any economy, if the highest income is receiving from the service sector, which indicates the all-round development of the nation. India is a developing country, also we are getting the highest percentage of income from the service sector. Rising importance of the tertiary sector in production. Over the 30 years between 1973 to 2003, while the production in all the three sectors has increased the most in the tertiary sector, mainly the tertiary sector services are increasing and its income in the GDP also increasing because of the advanced technology and its growth. As a result, in the year 2003, the tertiary sector has emerged as the largest producing sector in India, replacing the primary sector. Previously, primary sector was the largest producer in GDP, but now the service sector is the largest producer in the Indian economy. now we can learn about what are the reasons for increasing of tertiary sector. Why tertiary sector is producing the large quantity of income in the GDP. The first reason is service sectors consist of all the basic services like hospitals, schools, post, telephone and all other service activities like transport, roadways, railways, waterways, airways. So due to the rapid growth of population, every human being is utilizing all kinds of services from the service sector. That is why its importance is increasing. This is the first reason for the increasing of tertiary sector. And the second reason, development of agriculture and industry leads to development of tertiary sector. When the agricultural sector is increasing and industrial sector is increasing, and it leads to the development of tertiary sector, because without tertiary sector the goods which are produced in the primary sector are not able to transport to the secondary sector, and the goods which are produced in the secondary sector are unable to transport to the markets and to the consumers. So that is why the development of agriculture and the development of secondary sector leads to the development of tertiary sector. This is the third reason for increasing of tertiary sector. And the second reason, the third reason is as income levels increases, services like hotels, tourism, shopping, private schools, private hospitals also increased. When the people income increases, so generally the people will try to go out and they wanted to live in outside for few days like tourism, hotels, restaurants, shopping, private schools and all these other services also increasing. Because of this people's mind and their aspirations, now the third sector, that is tertiary sector, is increasing. And at last, information and communication technology also increasing due to the rapid growth of technology and advanced technology introducing in our economy. There is a growth of the service sector or tertiary sector. Where are most of the people employed? Already we have discussed in the previous. Once again let me explain. The highest employment opportunities are found in the different sectors. In 1973, the highest employment opportunities are found in the primary sector and less in the secondary and tertiary sector. But at present, the still it is agricultural sector only providing the large number of employment opportunities. But day by day, its percentage is decreasing, and the percentage of tertiary sector employment opportunities are increasing even in the secondary sector also by establishment of number of service providers and the industries. These are the reasons for the decreasing of employment opportunities in the primary sector and increasing of employment opportunities in the secondary and the service sectors. Now let me explain about division of sectors as organized and unorganized sector. This is the last topic from this lesson. Organized and unorganized sectors can be divided into two parts. One is organized sector and unorganized sector. Organized sector, which carries out all activities through a system and follow government rules and regulations. But whereas in unorganized sector, they will not follow any rules and regulations from the government side, because these are the small units, less number of people are engaged in these activities, and there are no specific rules and regulations for the unorganized sector. And there are many advantages from the organized sector than the unorganized sector. Means people who are working in the organized sector will get many benefits than the people who are working in the unorganized sectors. In the organized sector, the employees will get the job security and they will work only the fixed hours like 8 hours per a day, and they will get many other benefits like leave encashment, provident fund, gratuity and many other benefits. But whereas in the workers who are working under the unorganized sector, they will not get all these benefits. That is why people who are working in the organized sectors are economically and financially they are better than the workers who are working in the unorganized sector. Sectors in terms of ownership. On the basis of ownership, sectors can be broadly divided into two major parts, that is the public sector and the private sector. We know very well that public sector means the means of production such as land, labor, capital and organization which are controlled and managed by the government and its agencies are called the public sector, and the means of production such as land, labor, capital and organization which are controlled and owned by the individuals or group of persons, we can call it as the private sector. Under the public sector, almost all the products are produced by the government and its agencies only, and the main motto of public sector is welfare of the people, but whereas in the private sector the main motto is to get huge profits. The best examples under the public sector is BSNL, then SAIL, Steel Authority of India Limited. These are the two best examples. Under the private sector is Tata is the best example, Reliance is one more best example. This is the entire information about the chapter 2 from economics, that is about sectors of the Indian economy. Thank you. If you like my videos, please subscribe and click on the bell button.